appreciated. Rachel Chung, co-founder of Strut Safe Scotland. Thanks also to Gillian Merchant, discrimination lawyer, for being with us this morning. That is us for this morning from the Sunday Show. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you to Chris, Marion, Barry and Jamie. Have a good weekend. We'll be here same time next week. Let's cross to Richard Gordon and Sports Sound.
Sports Sound on BBC Radio Scotland.
Good morning and a very warm welcome indeed from me, Richard Gordon. 4 wins yesterday in the Premiership for Dundee United, for Hearts, who went top, for St Mirren and for St Johnstone. That leaves us with 2 games this afternoon, and they are 2 massive encounters. At 3 o'clock, Rangers take on Hibernian. You'll get updates from that game during the Sunday edition of Off the Ball, which will be on between 3 and 5. We're on until then with a midday kick-off and full live commentary from Pittodrie, where it's Aberdeen against Celtic. We'll cross to our commentary team of Pat Bonner, Billy Dodds and Liam McLeod shortly. Let's still get pitch side. Kenny McIntyre is down there first and foremost with the team news.
Yeah, the atmosphere really building here. A huge game for both clubs. There's a real buzz inside Pittodrie. The big news for Aberdeen fans is Joe Lewis has been dropped to the bench. Gary Woods comes in. He's one of 3 changes, with Ryan Hedges, who's ill, and Teddy Jenks, who's suspended, also dropping out. Samuels and Longstaff come in. 1 change for Celtic from their midweek defeat to Leverkusen, beaten it in for Tom Rogic, who drops to the bench. So Aberdeen go with Gary Woods in goal. A back 4 of Ramsey, Bates, McCrory and McKenzie, Ferguson, Brown and Longstaff in the midfield, with a front 3 of Hayes, Ramirez and Samuels. On the bench for the Dons, Joe Lewis, Declan Gallagher, J. Emmanuel Thomas, Dylan McGeoch, Conor McLennan, Jack Gurr and Dean Campbell. Celtic will go with Joe Hart in goal. A back 4 of Ralston, Carter Vickers, Starfelt and Montgomery. A midfield 3 of Turnbull, Beaton and McGregor, with Abada and Jota either side of Kyogo. On the bench, Scott Bain, Liam Scales, Georgios Giacomakis, Albion Ayeti, James McCarthy, Tom Rogic and Stephen Welsh. A short time ago, I spoke with the Celtic manager, Ange Postecoglou. Good morning to you, Ange. Just has the feeling of a big game here today. Always special when Celtic come to Pittodrie.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I guess the situation of both clubs, with the result being important, obviously a big game and one we're looking forward to.
What have you seen from the players this week, Ange, since the defeat to Bayer Leverkusen? I saw your comments. You talked about being unacceptable to the levels. The discipline dropped off towards the end of the game. You wanted them to use that defeat as motivation for this one here today.
Yeah, look, I just think that's the area we're letting ourselves down in at the moment. You know, we have good moments in games, and you know, when there's either an incident in the game where we make a mistake or something happens in the game, we lose our discipline and go away from the kind of football we want to play. And when you do that, you pay a price. And as I say, it's just about being disciplined for 90 minutes. When we've done that this year, we've been a good team. Other times, not so.
Do you put the loss of goals down to defensive errors as opposed to a problem with the system you've been playing? Individual errors?
No, I think it depends what context you're looking at it. In Europe, for sure, we've made some individual errors, but we've also met some quality teams. To be honest, I think in the Premiership, our problem's been at the other end. Especially the last 2 games, we've created a bag full of chances and we haven't taken them. So, that's got to be our focus when we do dominate games and create chances to take them.
I've interviewed you a few times this season. You don't get too high, you don't get too low. But I was interested in some comments you made last week about some of the questions, some of the comments being condescending towards you. Is that the way that you feel, that perhaps people don't get you, they don't know enough about you? People are suggesting you don't understand the magnitude of this job here at Celtic Football Club.
Well, I mean, that's a question for the people asking the questions. As I said, the only problem I had with it was that people were somehow thinking I wasn't aware of the magnitude of the club or the repercussions if things don't go well, which I think is a bit, like I said, it's either deliberate to try and demean me in my sort of career, or I'm not really sure what the purpose is. As I said, we're obviously not going as well as I'd like, so you expect the criticism, but for people to suggest I don't understand what the ramifications are for this club not to do well, as I said, I feel that's a bit condescending.
You would have understood as much as anyone the magnitude of the job here. There was a huge turnover of players. You brought in a lot of players in the last one. There's still more to bring in, I'm sure. Did you feel that from the start when you got this job, Ange, there were people that felt you weren't the man for this job, you weren't up to this job, you didn't have the backstory for this job?
To be honest, that's irrelevant. I don't... Like I said, that stuff doesn't bother me. I'm talking about people asking questions, whether that's in a press conference or like yourself in this scenario. But in terms of what people think of me, well, I guess like any other football manager, I'll get judged on my results and the way the team goes.
Big day for Scott Brown. I just spoken to Stephen Glass there. He said he's really focused on this one. He feels perhaps he's got a point to prove. Has he featured more in your team talk this week? Special attention for the ex-Celtic captain?
No, and I'll be very surprised if Scott hasn't prepared for this game like he's prepared for every game in his career. I think that's the key to his success. I don't think he would have got up for certain games and not up for others. So, you know, look, as I said, he's a Celtic legend, and you know, obviously for him, maybe a little bit different today playing against the club that he's represented so well. So, but for us, our focus has been on ourselves.
One change today, Beaton in for Rogic. The thinking behind that?
Just to freshen up the midfield. I mean, Dave Turnbull and Tommy Rogic have pretty much played every game, and you know, Cal got through 60 minutes the other night, and I just feel with him and Beaton we get some extra legs in the midfield. I think we're going to need it today. It's going to be a bit of a battle in that midfield area, and I think having those two there will help us.
What have you seen from Aberdeen this season? I was at their game last weekend. It was strange. It was one actually were in full control up until they went down to 10 men. They also have a slow start to the season.
Yeah, and you know, as you said, I think there's been moments in games where they've looked a very good team, and you know, obviously, like last week, you know, there are incidents that sort of derails their form. Look, they're a new team. He's obviously, you know, restructured the whole squad, and you know, I think whenever you do something like that, there's going to be a period of instability and a period of inconsistency, which is not surprising. But I still think, you know, I've said it a few times, I like it when managers throw in young players and give them an opportunity, and it looks like they're doing it here.
Thanks, Ange.
Thank you.
Well, that was Ange Postecoglou chatting a few moments ago with our reporter Kenny McIntyre. As he mentioned in that interview, Kenny has also been chatting with Stephen Glass, so let's hear what the Dons manager had to say ahead of this one.
Stephen, always a huge game when Celtic come to town. Just driving up here today, lots of Celtic supporters, buses, a real buzz outside. How are you feeling about this one?
Yeah, looking forward to it. I think any time there's an atmosphere in the stadium, it's a game to look forward to. There's not been an occasion for a while where there's a big away support as well, and that always adds to it. So we're looking forward to that. But hopefully our fans are the ones that are making the noise. 3 changes to the team that lost at St Mirren last weekend. Obviously Jenks is out, he was sent off. Ryan Hedges, has he picked up a knock? Ryan took ill during the week, so unfortunate for Ryan first and foremost, but for ourselves. We knew he was a big help to us last week. Great player for us, and he's your loss again, like as he was when he was previously injured.
Joe Lewis is out today. Gary Woods comes in. How tough a call was that for you? I also think it's more difficult when you're making a change when it's the goalkeeping position.
Yeah, it gets magnified, I think. But I think it's important to understand for everyone that we've got a good group of players, and that includes the goalkeeping number 2 position. So when time's right and you have to make that call, you have to make that call. And I think it's respect to Joe, it's respect to Woodsy as well. But we're delighted we've got Woodsy as a capable number 2. It puts pressure on Joe as he has for the start of the season, and it just felt like it was time for a change. And from the outside, I think it's important that it's not seen as more than that as well. Big Joe's going to be a big part of what we do in the future, obviously.
Yeah, it's been an interesting one because Joe Lewis has been an absolute standout for this football club for many seasons now. His form has not been the best this season. In terms of looking at what you put that down to, do you think perhaps the loss of the captaincy was an issue for him?
I don't actually. I think that's what I'm saying. It's nothing bigger to me than a loss of form, and I think it happens to players and they come out the team. Joe's also had the pressure of being the number 1 goalkeeper here for a number of years, where I think every other club's probably chopped and changed their goalkeepers even within the seasons, but Joe's been a mainstay as a number 1, and I think it's time for him to take a little break. How long that lasts, we'll see, but it's important we value Woodsy as well, and he gets his opportunity today.
How is Scott Brown feeling ahead of this game? It'll be a strange experience for him, a strange experience I'm sure for the Celtic fans. I mean, what's he like? Is he pumped up for this? Or you had to have awards? What's his mood like?
Nah, he's the same as he always is, and I do think you'll see probably more pumped up on the pitch, I would imagine, because he'll know that there's a lot of eyes on him. But he's a professional that's been a top pro in this country for a number of years, so he's used to that as well, and he's used to churning out performances when the scrutiny's on. So I don't see any different, but obviously things things might happen within the game that are things that's never happened to him, maybe tackling a couple of Celtic players here and there, but he handled it when he came back here last year for Celtic, knowing that he was coming. He's a consummate professional, and I think you'll see that today.
When you look back, when you scrutinise what happened last weekend, it was a strange game, because up until the sending off you were in complete control, you looked like you were going to win it, but then after the sending off it really went downhill fairly quickly. As a manager, how do you deal with that? What message do you give to the players this week when you look back on that game?
I think in terms of the going down to 10, you've got to consolidate maybe a little bit quicker than we did, be a little bit tougher, a little bit harder to score against. After that, I think it still comes down to individual mistakes and errors, which if we can eradicate, I think we're not far away. And I think people are fed up hearing it, and you mentioned it last week, which is fair. But I think people that are coming to watch us can see what we're trying to do here, and it will turn. It's how quickly it turns is the question, but the people in here are well capable of doing it.
What are you expecting from Celtic today? I've seen a fair bit of them this season. Absolutely fantastic at home, not been so good on the road. Do you feel they're there for the taking today, that they've not travelled well so far this season?
I don't read too much into the travelling part. I think what I look at is they've got a great group of players. They're dangerous, especially going forward. We feel there's areas that we can get at defensively for them. But I also know that they're probably thinking exactly the same about us. So I think you're going to see a good game. Hopefully not too many goals in one end, but plenty in the other, and make sure that's the right end for us.
Thanks to you.
All right, cheers, Kenny. Thank you.
Stephen Glass with Kenny McIntyre. Right, it's brief because it's such an early kick-off, so your points should be brief, guys. Billy, first of all, big call, Gary Woods for Joe Lewis. You know Gary Woods, you've worked with him. How do you think he's going to cope with the occasion?
Absolutely no bother, because he is horizontal as a person. His personality is calm. I think that's what Stephen Glass will be hoping he brings to the team. But it is a big call, Richard, and Joe Lewis finds himself out the team after a number of mistakes.
And for Celtic, Pat, near beat on in, is this a signal of him being slightly more pragmatic, the Celtic manager?
Well, he did say that he wanted a bit more, I think, robustness in the middle of the pitch to probably combat Scott Brown and Lewis Ferguson, to be honest. And I think it might be Callum McGregor can push a little bit further forward too, that's for sure. He likes to play in a couple of different positions, but I think it might suggest that Nsports and Callum McGregor might sit in front of the back two to allow the full-backs to either get forward, and then Turnbull being playing in that number 10 position.
It's going to be fascinating, Dodsey, isn't it, seeing Scott Brown in that Aberdeen shirt? I mean, I think he's actually settled in very well. He's been one of the shining lights in the Aberdeen team, but to be taking on a team that you have served so well for so long and you're so synonymous with, it's going to be a strange one this afternoon.
I would agree. It doesn't matter how experienced Scott Brown is. He is up against his old team, who he was a legend, he still is a legend there, but it's a big day for him. It's a pressurised situation for both teams. It's a pressurised situation for certain individuals on the pitch. You can look at Johnny Hayes as well. You've already talked about Gary Woods, but it's a great fixture to play on this one, Rich, so look forward to it.
And of course, Pat, just briefly, Celtic looking to end this run. We've been talking about this for a long time now. It's got longer and longer, not one away from home in the league since the middle of February.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? And you know, listen, they've played very well in spells on Thursday night. Today they will have to put that together for longer periods, that's for sure, but they've lost goals to two teams actually. They've lost an incredible amount of goals. When I look at over the last 8 games, Celtic have lost something like 13 against, Aberdeen 15 goals against, so they have to tighten up in that area, but they also have to score goals to win this game away from home.
It is going to be quite an afternoon. Remember, later Rangers are taking on Hibernian. There's the opportunity for both teams to hit the top of the table. You'll hear updates from that one during the Sunday edition of Off the Ball. But it's a midday start at the Tawdry. Big crowd, although by no means a capacity crowd inside the stadium. Full live commentary here on Sports and BBC Radio Scotland. Aberdeen against Celtic with Pat Bonner, Billy Dodds and Liam McLeod.
Good afternoon from Pittodrie. The sun shining down on the playing surface as the two teams break away from today's referee, Bobby Madden. It's a huge match for both clubs for perhaps different reasons than we would have expected at this point of the campaign. Into October now, both teams dramatically out of form. But this is a decent fixture for Celtic. They're unbeaten in their last 11 visits to Aberdeen. They've scored 2 or more in 8 of the last 9 visits, 3 or more in 5 of them. And and they've scored at least once at Pittodrie in each of their last 37 visits in League and Cup, going back to a 2-0 Aberdeen win in December 2001. Aberdeen at 8 games without a win for the first time since going 11 without a win under McGee in January to March 2010. Celtic making their worst start to a league season since 1998 under Venglos, when they'd only accumulated 9 points from their first 7. Celtic will kick off. Green and white hoop shirts, white shorts, white socks, right to left, shooting towards the beach end. Aberdeen all in red with the white flashes and the names and numbers on the back. Will shoot towards Merkland Road, and it's Celtic with Beaton back in the starting 11 today. Haven't seen that too often recently. He finds Montgomery on the near side. Brown goes into the challenge, and the free kick goes Celtic's way, and near Beaton takes it quickly in the centre circle, rolling it out to Montgomery, who steps across halfway and then rolls it to the captain Callum McGregor, who replaced Scott Brown after his lengthy tenure with the armband. It's back with Starfelt, who finds Carter Vickers, who finds Beaton, who ushers it out to Ralston on the right in the Aberdeen half. Now he's got pitch to work in. Ralston rolls it out to the right for the Alabada. The overlapping Ralston gets it back, right foot cross ball comes in, it's a good one towards Kyogo, comes off the head of Calvin Ramsey, and it's booted away by David Bates into the main stand. A lively start by Celtic here.
Yeah, decent start from them. They built the game up well, and young Ralston started actually in that midfield, but positioned himself well out on the right wing, and it created that almost 2v1 situation, which we haven't seen too often. He goes around the outside but delivers a decent ball into the box. Good start from Celtic.
We'll go through the starting 11s in just a moment in case you missed them at the start of the programme. Ralston picking up right of the centre circle, and he rolls it back to Cameron Carter Vickers, who turns it to Carl Starfelt, his central defensive colleague. Now it's back to Carter Vickers again, right of the centre circle into Aberdeen territory. Pings it with the right foot, looking for Jota on the near side. Straight to Ramsey though, and he clears it into the main stand on this near side. McGregor will take the throw and level with the 18 to Jota. Back towards McGregor. In goes Calvin Ramsey on the slide. It's a good challenge. He's been one of the shining lights for Aberdeen in the early part of this season. He's a couple of months old. Aberdeen haven't actually won a game since the 12th of August. It's a long time since the victory over Breidablik. They beat Livingston in the league just before that. A fortuitous victory after the mistake by Strajek, the Livy goalkeeper, as Aberdeen clear their lines, and it drops to Joe Hart. He's a long way out of his goal. Rolls it with the right foot to the far side for Abada, who's not been able to keep that in play, and Aberdeen have a throw-in over on the far side, just inside their own half. 2-0, 0-0, Billy Dodds.
Yeah, that misplaced pass from Joe Hart gives Aberdeen a wee bit of respite even this early in the game, because Celtic piling on the pressure right away. The tempo is up, they're taking the game to Aberdeen, just with Ralston down that right hand side and the cross coming in, working well with Abada. And I'll tell you what, Bassey at the back post did ever so well against Jota. Aberdeen could have found himself 1-0 down early in this match, Liam.
It's a pretty cold autumnal day in the Granite City. Dry though, as he goes out for a throw into Celtic, taken by Turnbull. Aberdeen with Woods in goal. Ramsey, Bates, McCrory, McKenzie across the back. Ferguson, Brown and Longstaff. And Hayes starts wide on the right. Samuels in the left. Ramirez through the middle. Celtic have Hart in goal. Ralston, Carter, Vickers, Starfelt and Montgomery. Turnbull, Beaton, McGregor. Abada and Jota either side of Kyogo, as Ramsey steps away from Jota. Good skill from him, shuffling away from the Portuguese and clearing it up towards halfway. Ramirez is brought down by Starfelt on the halfway line, and Aberdeen have a throw-in, a free kick rather, down on this near side, and it was won by the American striker who's playing as the target man up there, looking for support from Hayes and Samuels in the wide areas. And he's done well to draw the foul from Starfelt in spite of the centre circle.
It was good, calm, collective play with young Ramsey in the box, and then he plays that ball up, and that's what Ramirez has got to do. He's got to be the one, the target man. He's got to get goal or ball side of the centre half, and he won his foul there.
McCrory's long ball down that left-hand side. Ralston's there, gets ahead of Samuels, but Samuels wins it back off the Celtic right back. Burrows down the left, goes to ground, no free kick. Ralston clears with the right foot, and it's going to come all the way through to Gary Woods. 4 minutes in, Aberdeen 0, Celtic 0. Celtic looking to win an away league game for the first time since Valentine's Day, when they squeezed past St Johnstone in Perth. They've played 8 away Premiership games since then, not one victory. They've managed 3 draws and lost the other 5. A couple of those were at Ibrox. As Carter Vickers plays it short to Ralston, he goes back to his goalkeeper Joe Hart. See the 6-yard line.
See the position Ralston's picked the ball up in there. They play in the pitch, so they try to get the ball to the wingers quickly. Can leave them sometimes a little bit suspect at the back, but Aberdeen, young Ramsey started well. He's just shown so much composure for his years so far, Liam.
Yeah, real talent. As Abada goes down the right, he's a talent too, testing McKenzie and winning the corner off Jack McKenzie. The first of the game. It goes Celtic's way. 5 minutes in, they've taken it short quickly. It's with Turnbull. He turns back to Abada, to Turnbull again. He's level with the 18-yard line. And he rolls it back to Carter Vickers, up against Ramirez. The two Americans, albeit Carter Vickers was born in England. As Ralston picks up on that right-hand side, he's level with the Aberdeen penalty spot. Longstaff goes out to meet him, and then Ralston wins the corner off Longstaff. This one might be coming into the penalty area this time, I would imagine.
Yeah, I was surprised the first one they didn't put it down also, and try to put a little bit of pressure on Gary Woods, who's just in the team. And this one will be Turnbull on the ball, be an out swinger. They've got Beaton on the team, which gives them a little bit more height.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it's quite blustery as Turnbull looks to take this out swinger with the right foot in front of the Celtic support, and it comes headed away by Ramirez. McGregor lashes on the volley from the left-hand side of the D, but he slices it well wide, and that'll be a goal kick to Aberdeen. Aberdeen 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, just on that, Billy, in relation to the fullbacks from Celtic playing in field, you'll also notice where the midfielders will go out into the, almost playing as a false fullback at times, and that little rotation, or to play the ball up to the front, the winger very, very quickly to create a 1v1. So it can work, it can be a very good positive, but as you rightly say, and we've seen it on Thursday night, it can also be a negative if teams counter on you very quickly.
Your two centre-halves, if that's the case, it doesn't matter whether it's full-backs wide or midfielders wide, or your wingers just staying there. If you're going to play high up, your two centre-halves have to be so versatile in terms of mobility and pace.
So Ralston back to his goalkeeper. Hart has to take a touch. Ferguson closing him down. Hart has to play it to Carter Vickers as he prevented the corner. No, he hasn't. It is a throw-in. It is a throw-in. Bobby Madden signalling there, so a little bit of a sigh of relief there. It's just at times it's just so unnecessary.
Well, the first thing there I noticed is that Joe Hart stayed in the same position where he passed the ball. He maybe could have changed it and given himself a little bit better of an angle, and then the second thing, he touches it with the outside of his foot, and that in itself creates the problem for him.
Samuels hits it. It's a easy one for Joe Hart to watch go wide, though, as he went down to protect his near post. First sign of intent from Aberdeen, but it was Celtic who gifted them the possession in that area of the park, as Hart plays it short to Carl Starfelt. The scoreline at nothing each, 7.5 in.
As it's self-inflicted, isn't it? Just inviting pressure. I don't know if it's the manager in me. I'm just taking a huge intake of breath when Celtic try to play out from the back on that occasion.
Jota finds Turnbull right of the centre circle, driving towards the Aberdeen box, rolls it to Abada, right hand side, early ball in, comes off the head of McCrory, and behind it goes for Celtic's third corner kick. 8 minutes in, no goals as yet, but Turnbull's jogging over to take this one as well. The short option in Jota, if he wants it, but it looks as though he's getting set to put this into the penalty area again. Celtic look to strike first, and it comes right-footed, and it's just come off. I think Beaton's head, it was he and Brown who went up there to challenge, and it's gone past the left-hand post by near Beaton. I think the Celtic supporters thought that was going in.
Brown did well, Pat. Well, I'll tell you what, he stuck with Beaton all the way, and it's 1-0 Celtic. It's a great delivery in from Turnbull.
Yeah, and when you look at the height of both players, there's a huge mismatch from that perspective. But Brown's strong, physically strong, and that's all you can do. All you've got to do is push yourself up against the player and hope that you can almost put him off. You're not going to outjump him, that's for sure. So he did well defensively, but that was a good ball and good chance for Celtic.
Aberdeen have lost their last 3. You've got to go back to 2011 to find 4 successive defeats. Ferguson nods it forward, looking for Longstaff, headed clear by Starfelt. Little cushion header by Brown, finds Ferguson. He's blocked, challenged by Beaton. It breaks back to Ross McCrory. Long ball flicked on by Ramirez, but it goes right through to Carter Vickers, who finds Ralston. And now it's back with Carter Vickers. No goals here And Pittodrie still in the infancy of the game, not even 10 minutes in. Carter Vickers flights the ball out to Abad on that far side. Infield to Turnbull. Sliding in to win it back, Lewis Ferguson, who scored 3 times against Celtic last season. As Brown goes long, looking for Hayes. He was goal side of Carter Vickers. The ball is held up by the wind though. Hayes rolls it back to Ferguson. Ferguson attacking the box, low ball in, and it's an easy one for Joe Hart. It trundles right through to him and it stays goalless as Jota picks up and rolls it to his left for the Celtic youngster Montgomery. Forward towards McGregor on the stretch, but he goes right through to Bates. He goes back to his keeper with Kyogo racing towards him. He boots it clear up into the air, then down onto the head of Starfelt in the Celtic half. He finds Montgomery, who finds McGregor, who finds Beaton, and he rolls it to his right there for Ralston. Scoops the ball out to the Israeli Abada, then back to Tony Ralston. And now Starfelt from Carter Vickers. Starfelt with the right foot along the deck to Jota. Down the line for McGregor. Bates comes to meet him. Decent defending as it bounces back to Gary Woods. And it remains Aberdeen 0, Celtic 0.
Yeah, most of Celtic's play is in the wide areas. They're working the ball, and then even if it goes into midfield, they're trying to exploit those wide areas. They haven't been able to get Kyogo into the game so far. Normally you see him making little runs in behind the defence, but they haven't been able to tread any balls through to him yet.
Turnbull on the right with a cross ball. Kyogo's there! Celtic score! Brilliant ball in from the right-hand side, and as they've been doing in this stadium since December 2001, Celtic score. Kyogo Furuhashi nods it home, and he is most definitely back now. It's an 8th of the season for the Japanese, and it's Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1.
Yeah, just when I was talking about him not being involved so far, great ball and brilliant ball, but his movement around the back of the centre half, and was it Bates that he went round? Billy, I'm not so sure which one with the centre half. I think it might have been Bates. He got round the back of him, but it's the quickness, the sharpness, the movement to get on the end of that cross, and he had a header in the back of the net with Celtic 1-0 up.
Bates drop. Let's look at it from both sides. I mean, it's wonderful from Celtic. It's the quick throw in, and then Kyogo just end up chesting because the ball is so good from Turnbull. Aberdeen, Mackenzie left 2v1, the left back exposed. They take it quickly. Ralston takes a touch, gives it back to Turnbull. Far too easy from an Aberdeen point of view. Should have had players out there stopping that cross, making the throw in difficult. They did it, but you have to say, brilliant build up from Celtic. A wonderful ball from Turnbull that just laid it on a plate for Kyogo. Brilliant finish.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Sorry, Liam. The problem also is that they're creating 2v1s in the wide areas. You know, it's either a 1v1, 2v1. So they've exploited those wide areas really well, Celtic, in this opening part of the game, and that cross in was superb.
You're right, Pat. I get it from open play. I absolutely get that. But one thing, Stephen Glass is looking at it and saying, as soon as they give away the throw, and I know it's taken quickly, is Mackenzie against Ralston and Turnbull out there. They've got to get somebody out there to help him and make it 2v2. They don't. It's too easy. Throw in, cross, goal.
Matty Longstaff for Aberdeen rolls it to the right of the Celtic box for Hayes. The cross comes in, it bounces off Montgomery, breaks to Carter Vickers. There was a few optimistic appeals for a penalty there from some of the Aberdeen supporters as Hayes wins it back off Jota on the near side. Hayes tries to cross, but it loops the wrong side of the crossbar, and that'll be a goal kick to Celtic. And as far as Aberdeen are concerned, the defensive problems haven't exactly just started this afternoon. That is now just one clean sheet in what will be 15 games this campaign, and that was against Dundee United in the opening day of the league season, as Celtic knock it about inside their own penalty area with 4 Aberdeen players swarming around the danger zone.
Yeah, I think that's the issue probably for Aberdeen, is that they want to press Celtic high, so they've pushed almost Armeidas, Longstaff and Samuel high up the pitch, and they've got the 2 midfielders then in behind them, but the wide areas is the areas that Celtic are able to break that press and then get the ball wide quickly, and that's where they're creating the problems for Aberdeen.
It's so poor defensively. Brilliant from Celtic, and I'm not taking anything away from the quick throw, the delivery, the finish, absolutely wonderful. But from Aberdeen, not having 2 people out there, and then Bates, I think he had a hard time last week against St Mirren, and Kyogo's movement just leaves him for dead, and he's done as well. So brilliant from an attacking point of view, but really disappointing for Stephen Glass's team from a defensive point of view.
The ball from Turnbull was outstanding, wasn't it? Not just the trajectory and the pinpoint precision, it was the pace with which it came in.
But then when you have a player like Kyogo inside, you know that he's going to get in the end of them. He's going
Here they come again. Abada down the right. He's been brought down by McKenzie. Corner only, says Bobby Madden. And it will be another chance for Celtic here as they look to turn the screw on Aberdeen.
Abada's in behind. I really worry that they're all mobile, but they're so young and inexperienced. You look at the Ramsey, you can tell me the age. Bates, McCrory must be 23, 24. McKenzie, 19, him and Ramsey.
McKenzie's 21, Ramsey's just turned 18.
So young, that back four.
In comes the corner, headed away by Ramirez. And now it's with Callum McGregor. Yeah, they're all under 25, the back four for Aberdeen, as Montgomery picks up, rolls it to the left here for McGregor. Big switch of play all the way out to David Turnbull, who collects beautifully and rolls it forward to Abada, level with the 18-yard line. To Turnbull, square ball for Beaton. Beaton with a disguised pass, looking for Ralston. McCrory read it, clears, and then Brown pops it forward for Hayes. Hayes challenged by Montgomery, goes down. Bobby Madden, whistle to lips, gives Aberdeen a free kick inside the centre circle. Not that the Celtic support agree with that. And if you're just joining us, Celtic leading by 1-0, a goal on 12 minutes. Kyogo's header as Ramsey is barged to the deck by Jota on this near side, and that will be a free kick to Aberdeen again. They're round about the halfway line and right in front of the two managers. Stephen Glass, hands in pockets, as is Ange Postecoglou to his right.
That was an opportunity for Johnny Hayes. I thought he could have maybe got the ball away a bit quicker, and that's what we say about that sort of cat and mouse. Whether when you win the ball, can you hit them on the counter-attack then into those areas, because he had Samuel out on the sort of almost his left-hand side, and he was fairly free to get a pass.
I don't know about you. I thought Ramirez was the ball, because he made a great run. If he could have seen the wee reverse pass here, Johnny Hayes, Ramirez was in, because Starfelt was ball watching it, and he chose to go to Samuels. It's not a bad pass, but I thought Ramirez would have been the pass that would have got at Celtic, Pat.
Carter Vickers finds Starfelt. Celtic leading by 1-0. 16 and a half played at Pittodrie. It is Starfelt stepping away from Ramirez and finding Beaton, who crosses the halfway line, rolls it with the right foot out to Jota. Montgomery on the underlap, then he comes back out to the touchline, but it's a decoy because Jota's infield now. Rolls it to the right hand side of the box for Abada, who's giving McKenzie a torrid time, and it comes, it's deflected, and it goes behind for yet another Celtic corner. There's only one team in this game.
Yeah, every time Celtic get a ball and they go and attack, it looks as if they're going to create a chance every single time. Whether that was a bad attempt coming in the inside, giving McKenzie almost a nightmare at the moment, because every time he gets it, how's he going to stop him?
Turnbull's over in front of the Pittodrie tunnel to take this corner with the right foot in swing, and in it comes, headed clear by Ramsey, then headed back into the box by Abada. Ralston battling for it. McKenzie gets there, brought down by Ralston. That'll be a free kick to Aberdeen just outside their own penalty area, and a few of the Dons players not happy with Ralston's challenge on the Aberdeen left back, who is having a very difficult afternoon so far. A bit of verbals going on between Calvin Ramsey and Tony Ralston. Ramsey, as I said, he's only just turned 18, but he's got absolutely no problem giving it out as Aberdeen get themselves this free kick. But Jack McKenzie on the other side is having a horrible afternoon so far against Abada and Turnbull.
He needs help. You know, the problem is that midfielders can't slide over, because they've got to deal with Turnbull, they've got to deal with McGregor, and it's difficult for him. And then Samuel isn't getting back to help him really in that wide area.
Johnny Hayes picks up in the right. Montgomery misjudged it. Hayes trying to torment Montgomery here, looking for space to cross. Rolls it back to Ramsey. Gets it on the left foot. Low ball comes in, but it's right through to Joe Hart, and it stays Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1.
We talked about that inexperienced back four, but when you have Abada on the side and Ralston either underlapping, or then he goes in an overlap when they're high, Samuels has got to be doing his job. If he lets that happen time and time again, you're going to ask for trouble. And you feel sometimes young McKenzie at left back is getting really exposed, Liam. And we talked about sometimes experience can get you through that, but you can see them getting pulled about a little bit. And it's but the forwards have to do their defensive job to help the fullbacks at times.
There's not too much in the Aberdeen bench to change things later on. Joe Lewis, the sub goalie, Gallagher, Manuel Thomas, McGeoch, McLennan, Gurren Campbell. They're missing a good few, including Marley Watkins, Ryan Hedges, to name two. Aberdeen won it back on the far side. Looked a good challenge from here. Bobby Madden's given Celtic the free kick for the Foul by McKenzie on Abada. You can hear what the home fans made of that decision. 19 minutes in, Aberdeen 0, Celtic 1. It's a crucial phase in the game for Aberdeen. You feel you can see them. You can see them scoring. You can see them coming from 1-0 down, from 2-0 down, not so much.
Yeah, but Celtic taking risk at the back again. You know, high risk, passing it out. Obviously, Turnbull playing in that inside, sort of almost inside position, and just takes one bad pass and they're in trouble, because I think they're trying it every single time now, trying to break the press so they can get out and get the ball quickly up to their front men.
That's a good recovery this time by McKenzie, sliding in on Abada, but it is a Celtic throw-in in front of the Celtic support, who are packed into the south stand over on that far side. Ralston prepares to take the throw-in level with the Aberdeen 18, gets it back from Abada, brought down by McKenzie, free kick Celtic.
See, that's exactly what happened for the goal, though. Samuels is going and picking up Beaton. He's got to work with Ralston. He's got to take Ralston, because when he throws it in the Turnbull, Ralston gets it back straight away, and Samuels is in the pits. That's how Ralston got the ball, gave it to Turnbull, and the cross comes in. It was a great cross, don't get me wrong, but it's freeing Celtic players up.
Turnbull's free kick comes off, I think, the back of the head of Ramirez. It's away, but only half clear. Jota picks up from Beaton. Now it's with McGregor. He plays it out to Turnbull again on that right-hand side. Right foot cross comes in, flicked away by Bates. Chasing after it's Calvin Ramsey on this near side. Keeps it in play and then rolls it back to Lewis Ferguson, who finds Bates inside his own penalty area. 21 in almost. Celtic leading 1-0. Kyogo's 9th of the season. As McCrory hits it long, but it's pretty aimless, and it goes all the way through to Joe Hart.
Yeah, that's the other problem Aberdeen have. They want to build the game up at the back, but Ross McCrory, he's not really a left-sided player, centre half, is he?
No.
You know, and then it comes onto his left foot, and he tries to play with his left foot, but to be fair to the young man, but no accuracy.
And it's a straight ball, doesn't help. If he's going to do that, it's got to have a little diagonal pass in it.
Montgomery gets away from Longstaff. Now Beaton into the centre circle for Turnbull.
Samuel's doing the wrong man every time, I'm telling you. Yeah. That's why Ralston's getting so much freedom in that right-hand side.
He's found Abada, driving towards the box, rolls it to the overlapping Ralston again. The cross is drifted in. Kyogo's header. The whistle's gone. The whistle's gone, I think, for a foul on Ramsey on this occasion. But once again, Kyogo won the ball. Jota was there too at the back post. It was headed down. It's ended up in the net, but it's not going to count. Bobby Madden's whistle had gone before it crossed the line in any case. But again, it's the damage that Celtic are doing down that right-hand side. They are right. The cross is coming in. They're finding a Celtic player every time. You don't see it down
this left-hand side, because Johnny Hayes has got experience, so he's doing the full-back.
And Gary Woods almost got caught by Kyogo there. He's managed to get the toe on it to get it clear. Aberdeen doing the same as Celtic, trying to play out from the back. It's all very well and good, but I think if you're in good form, you can perhaps understand that. When you've got these two who are out of sorts, pretty much, attempting to do it, it just I suppose gives you it will give the managers nerves, won't it? And you just don't see the point in doing it. It's the manager's
tactics, though, Liam.
Yes, of course.
They want to play that way. That's the modern game. They want to play it. You've got to have the players really clued into it. The goalkeeper's got to be really good. But when you're up against, there's always opposition there. So you've got to do it under those circumstances. And Kyogo is the quickest closing down of all the Celtic players.
Samuels picks up on that left-hand side for Aberdeen. Rare foray forward for the home team here. He's level with the edge of the D. We played a quarter of it, and it comes back to Scott Brown, who plays it to the right of the centre circle for Bates on the halfway line. Forward to Ramirez, takes the touch. Carter Vickers with the challenge though, and Starfelt will usher it back to Joe Hart. 23 in.
It's a good ball by David Bates right into Ramirez's feet. He just couldn't get on the half turn and get at that Celtic defence.
Longstaff winning it back off Montgomery. It's now Hayes down the right hand side of the Celtic box. Longstaff goes to his right. Hayes crosses into a good one. Ramirez goes down. Bobby Madden has a look, and it's going to be a goal kick only.
Tell you what, I thought that was a penalty. I think he's pulled him.
With feet, wasn't there?
Yeah. I thought he was done. Carter Vickers, to be honest, and Joe Hart was done also in his position. And it was a good ball in. I've got to say, they haven't really complained too much to Aberdeen players, but I just think that he's just tugged him. I thought he was done.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the studio have had a chance to look at a replay of that. Perhaps we'll get some clarity. I don't know if Kenny's got a monitor where he is. Pitch side for us today. It's Montgomery inside his own box, goes back to his keeper who clears. And again, there were 3 Aberdeen players swarming around him inside his own box. Bates finds Ramsey on this near side.